choices moment by moment. And the energy that we put into choices moment by moment um, is a powerful part of this personal analysis, I feel. You know, talked about it. Are we coming from a place of fear? Or are we coming from a place of love? And many choices that we make may be driven by our fears, even though they're not consciously in our minds at the time. But the things that are driven by love will meet the test that was described here of being positive for us and for others around us. Oftentimes, choices made out of fear seem to, in the short term, to be positive for us and may be detrimental to those around us. And until we connect those dots, until we begin to see consequences from choices that we make, we're not going to make better choices. We've all, well, we probably were, but anyway, we've all witnessed and seen children playing, and young children will oftentimes, be very selfish and self-centered for a while. And, a group of toddlers fighting over toys is not nearly as nice as a group of toddlers, playing together with those toys. And that's a kind of a simple example that is observable by us, but if we were to take the higher view, we might call it the God's view of what we're doing here as human beings on this planet. It may not look a whole lot different from a God's perspective of how we get along or don't in this, current world of ours. Any questions or comments, please? Anyone?
Well, just a thought here.
Sure.
I like the phrase, toddlers fighting over a toy. But, it's much more amusing and much more of a teaching element when toddlers are fighting over toys than it is when adults fight over toys. Because there's no lesson that's being learned there, because they've already dismissed everything. Interestingly, in many of the occult writings and mystical writings, they separate humans from mankind. Humans are the ones who utilize forethought, understand karma, as you were explaining it, whereas mankind is more like they consider them animals, because they are typically self-centered, selfish, only, or rather I should say, operating on an instinctual level. The weekend's here, let's get drunk. Whereas the human would say, the weekend is here, let's get together and have a house party, or a dinner party, or something like that. Where the one is, the intent is to share, and the other one is the intent to, well, I don't know.
I would say escape.
Escape, there you go, is to escape.
Yeah, and it's a very self-centered escape. Not pleasant for those around someone doing that kind of escape.
Not pleasant for the one doing the escaping either.
Well, and yeah, ultimately that's true. But I mean, sometimes self-destructive behavior is the last one that it's obvious to is the one doing it. And as human beings, we're capable of that level of denial. But as those of us listening that engaged in this conversation, I would like to think, and I feel that we are awakening to a point where we are looking for the subtleties of what to do different and better as we keep climbing this ladder towards a higher understanding and a greater awareness. And what I like to, or I feel, is a participation in the evolution of humans into a higher state of being, higher state of consciousness. And that happens collectively by each of us individually doing our part. It's sharing from the podium or even writing a book could be important, but it's not nearly as important as my own personal transformation. It is the most I will contribute to the whole, and that is the same for each of us. It is our own personal transformation that makes the difference. And rallying after a cause that incites us can be a distraction. And it may be difficult to tell if it's really a calling for us to do, and oftentimes it is something bigger that we go after to distract us from doing our own work. And that's just a cautionary tale for each of us. Any other comments or questions?
Well, I'm sure Sandy has something to say.
Well, this was great. This was great. I am a fan of Deepak Chopra, and I when you mentioned the book that you were referring to, the 7 steps to success or something along that line, I thought, I'm thinking, I think I have that book, but actually I think it's a different one. It's the A to Z of something. But anyway, I've always liked him a lot, and I like the going into a little bit deeper about the thought of karma and cause and effect, and I guess I never really thought about because I wrote down a few things about that you pay karmic debt unconsciously. I guess I never really thought about that, but it makes sense. And what message is the universe sending me? It's really good food for thought, and I think it really helps to like going forward. I'm thinking, okay, I want to watch for this, as life happens. I want to watch for these moments, because I think I get so caught up in stuff that I don't know if it's my age or what, but I can't take it all in anymore. And a lot, I need to have focus on one thing at a time. Let me put it that way. So, I like this. Very, very good food for thought here, and a very good, a very good way to, I can't think of the right words, but just focusing on things from a different direction, and from this direction, and looking at things from this direction, and consciously trying to do that, I can see how important it is. And it just, we just get so caught up in everything in the daily life. Sometimes it's hard to take a step back and look at it. We don't even think about it, looking at it from this perspective, but this was really good. I I enjoyed it. I wrote a lot. I like to write a lot down. So it was very good. Thank you, Reverend Thomas. It was great.
You're welcome. I would, what's occurring to me as you were describing that is that we have a tendency to separate, things that are important and things that are less important, and that I feel like the overarching lesson here is about, this is a change in consciousness, or an expanding of an awareness to always look, have this approach to every decision that we're making.
Yes.
No matter how mundane it seems, no matter how insignificant it seems, and it's not a big deal. It's just an awareness, and maybe an observation is a better way to put it. Observe what we're doing and why we're doing it, and that's where I feel like we may course correct. We may see something. Oh, I didn't realize I was doing that. And it's going to happen in the little things that happen day to day, moment by moment for us. And that can be a wonderful preparation for the bigger moments that come along,
Mhm.
which are far less frequent. But
Yes.
you talk about the busyness in life. Well, that's a whole series of choices about busyness. What we let into our life, and what we say, I don't have time for that, or whatever. All of those are choices. So again, applying these ideas, these principles in those moments will help us navigate day by day.
Yes. Thank you. That's right. It's so true.
Anyone else?
Any thoughts, Ken?
No, I'm mostly a listener on this one.
How about you, Beth?
Water takes the path of least resistance, and that's a very strong fact to overcome and to make a conscious choice. Most people operate on autopilot most of the time. So to kind of stop and consciously decide, how is this going to impact or help make me happier and the people around me? Wow, that's going to take a big effort.
Well, maybe in the beginning, but
But like practice.
yeah,
Like meditating.
Yeah, I feel like let's take a second look at this and shine this light on it and look at it from those terms. And it's like, oh, okay, does it look different, or it's like, oh, okay. Then maybe there's a better choice. I think one of the hallmarks is the win-win scenarios. And in all of life, we can even look at politics, when the really great decisions that have been made that have impacted the most in a positive way turn out to be win-win solutions. And the thing that continues to go back and forth is when it's a win-lose, and then power shifts and it's a win-lose the other way. But it's the win-win that comes and stays and actually accomplishes something. And that is love-based. That is the thing that takes into account the whole. And it isn't just about me getting mine. The survival of the fittest kind of a thing is about me surviving, and if you lose, too bad. And in the wild, injured animals don't survive. In modern society, We have doctors, we have hospitals, and not universally, unfortunately, but for the most part, we help people that would in a wilderness situation not survive. We take care of each other. There's a consciousness that has to do with the survival of the whole. That's something, and that each individual within there has an importance, and it's about the whole. Those are the big decisions. That same principle applies to each of us individually as we're making decisions. And often I feel like it's just not thinking beyond the immediate is where I would fall short. That, okay, let me think. Are there other consequences beyond this thing here? And we had in December we had a bunch of cats show up. The weather got bad, and so my wife's first thought was, we got to feed them, these cats. And now we have all of these cats that are decided they're going to live at our house. So, one good deed without thinking beyond it. So this has meant that I keep saying our vet's thinking about buying a new car at this point, But I've had 4 cats spayed in the last couple of months. Self-defense, 2 female cats move in the garage with the male cat that lives there part-time. He was happy. And when it looked like they weren't going into heat anymore, I said, oh boy. And anyway, simple example. And there's always another consequence. Well, let's close there so we don't ruin everybody's lunchtime.
Oh, somebody's getting hungry.
Well, no, not yet. But if I keep going here, we could get that way. This is what Deepak had to say about to experience the law of karma. 3 things. Witness the choices you make in every moment. The best way to prepare for any moment in the future is to be fully conscious in the present. Whenever you make a choice, ask yourself 2 questions. What are the consequences of this choice? And will this choice bring happiness to me and to those who are affected by this choice? 3, ask your heart for guidance and be guided by its message of comfort or discomfort. If the choice feels comfortable, go ahead with that choice. If the choice feels uncomfortable, then don't make that choice. And I thank you for the opportunity to present.
Thank you, Reverend Thomas. That was wonderful.